I guess we can get started. Hey, Morgan. Do you guys have anything you want to celebrate with us today? I want to check in with Sharon on how you did after our hot seat, and then we'll share Deborah.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, and I've talked to several other people too, so I've gotten a lot clearer, and definitely, Michael, what you had said with the self-expression and balance side of it, that's definitely, I've thought about more topics inside of that and going that direction. So I think that's definitely where I'm going with it. So now it's narrowing down audiences, which I have worked on that. So so there's different audiences I've come up with for that, which is great. So like you're saying, like the senior audiences, that type of thing, and just everything that I'm involved in. I'm also seeing I could do kind of children's services groups with teachers or trainers and things like that, just through some experiences I've had inside of adoption and stuff. So so it's really helped me to brainstorm the audiences and start figuring that out. So I'm a lot clearer on that now.
Yay.
Cool.
Nice.
Great work. Is it just me? Is it just me that's a bit laggy today, or are you guys noticing that? I don't know if it's no. Okay, good. Awesome, Sharon. I love that that you're getting even more specific. That's amazing. Deborah, what were you going to share?
I've been working on updating my website for my new brand and digital solution suite launch, and I finished it. So I was able to gain a skill because I can't pay my admin to do it all. And anyway, now I know how to manage my WordPress site by myself. So that's kind of a win. Also, my clothes are on right side out today, which is a far cry from Monday. Chalking that up as a win.
Right side out. Is that the proper way? Does that mean?
Yeah. I had my hoodie on all day inside out and didn't notice until 7:30 at night. And I'd been on video calls and just.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't even
little
think
things.
I didn't notice. That's good.
My husband always has his shirt on backwards. It's like, how do you even do that? Oh, it'd be harder with a hoodie.
Well, like the pocket for the hoodie was inside. So.
Fair enough.
I don't know. There's a big tag sticking out too on the side. I never looked in the mirror all day.
Oh, Matt, what's on your shirt today? What else do you guys have to share with us? Looks like bricks.
So today we have it's in French, it says for sale in Avondra.
Ah.
So, either way. Yeah. So this is like my selling shirt. We're ready to sell today. Moving product.
Nice.
I love it. That's good. Good. Maybe you can deliver a lesson today.
I'll let you do that. We're good. I'm receptive.
Cool. Anyone else want to share? I'll also, you guys, we don't have any submitted questions today. So today is just kind of open forum. If you have any questions for us, we're here to answer them. And especially if you want to talk about MMA at this point, it's Thursday. We like to do our MMA tracker check-in, money-making activities, Sharon, in case we haven't explained that yet for you. And so what do you guys have for us today that we can help you with? What would you love to get out of today's call? Is there anything, any burning desires? Yes, Matt.
I'm curious about, I know that you have a really cool blog because I've seen it. And as we start to develop the blog, so we have this thing that we're moving towards this virtual world and blogging, et cetera. I mean, is there any advice out there for what we should have technology-wise, or are there groups that can help us set up some technology, like a camera, a microphone, some basic stuff. I don't want to become a video expert, but to do that, I mean, what are the table stakes to get into this game properly? Does anybody know?
Was that two
That did.
questions? Was one about a blog and one about tech, or were they?
I don't know how to do a
linked?
blog, and I don't know anything about the tech
Okay.
involved. So let's call it one.
Okay, you're not. I don't have a blog. You mean do it marketing blog?
No, I mean, am I getting blog wrong? What am I getting? There's a blog, there's podcasts.
Podcast.
See,
podcast.
this is where I'm at, like podcast, blog, vlog, whatever it is. I mean, getting this kind of flow of content out there in today's world.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, we can just riff on some tech stuff. I mean, I'm definitely not a tech expert, but I have run my own business and done all my own tech for 8 years. Michael, I don't know if you, well, we'll just see where this goes. So where I like to start with content. So if we're talking about content, there's kind of three main things. Oh, good. We've got some good questions coming in. Three main things with content. There's written, there's audio, and there's video. Okay. So if you think about video being the most, valuable is not the right word, but like the highest level of content, because it can be turned into audio and written. You know, if you start with writing, you're going to have to like read it, or like it doesn't work as well the other way around, right? So if you make a video, you can take out the audio and, you know, turn that into an audio clip, and you can transcribe it and it becomes a written clip. So that's one consideration. But the second consideration is just, what do you like doing? So if you love being on camera and you're reasonably comfortable or want to become comfortable, then great, start with video. I personally don't like writing. And so blogging has never come easily to me, which blogging is the written form, which is why I personally just like audio. I would much rather be able to have some notes in front of me and just kind of just talk. I find that really my sweet spot. That is probably different. It's probably different for all of you, and some of you will be good at all three. So when you're choosing a content type, I would choose whatever you want to do so that it doesn't become a horrible chore and it feels easier and you're excited to do it. So that would be where I would start. Is that helpful so far, Matt? Are you inclined towards one of the three?
No, I really don't know. Well, I think I know how to do the written part. I think, you know, the audio part, I think I can figure out as well. Video, it has to be done properly. I sat on a video thing. Someone sent me a video the other day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they need to delete that right now. It was horrible. So I know you kind of have to be to a certain level or don't play in the game. And I know as I'm building some of my content out for my website around this speaking thing, I have to be real careful about that, because some of the stuff I've seen other people do is just bad and shouldn't be done. So
What makes it bad in your opinion, Matt?
just amateur. It just looked totally amateurish. Like if I'm supposed to be out there, who's a really good speaker, so there's a visual presentation of a speaker, but yet the content that comes across on video just screams like this was done on a home movie camera, old school home movie camera. Just bad cutovers, just bad stuff. I looked at it, was a turn off. So I don't want to be the turn off side. So obviously we have to have, decent, it has to be decently produced is my guess, or don't use it, or stick with audio if video's not there. I like the idea of doing the audio. I mean, an audio presentation, like I listened to one of yours, Stephanie. I thought that was well done. I wasn't thinking about like, this is audio because you really like that's your genre. I just thought, oh, it's just something I can listen to in the car, and that's why it was good. Mm-hmm. But
So I think there's a mix, Matt, of the intention for the video. So when you are doing like a speaker reel or something, for example, you definitely want that to be really good. You'll hear David say, you do it right or not at all. You don't want some like lopsided camera with terrible audio and then that's your speaker reel, for sure. Not that you want that on any level of video. That said, I would say, and this is going to be different because you got to decide what you want your brand to be. there's a difference between something that your audience knows is like, this is top notch, people are paying me money for this, it's really professional, it's not, maybe scripted is the wrong word, but planned. I think the content itself has to be tight. And there's a difference between that and showing up live, and like in this context, right? I'm showing up live. I think my video is reasonable. I have reasonable lighting. I have a reasonable webcam. I have a reasonable mic, and it's not going to be perfect, right? And that's, I think, the agreement that the audience has made with you at the point when they're watching something. They have an agreement of like, this is top tier, paying top dollar versus like, hey, I'm just showing up to give you some great value. You can hear me, you can see me. There's no major distractions, and that's a different agreement. Do you guys have opinions on that? It's going to be different for everyone's business what those levels are. No?
Everybody's so quiet today.
Oh, you're just on mute, Matt.
I think it's changing. People getting more comfortable to seeing people like we're seeing each other now. So I don't think it needs to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to some extent, at least my belief is, I don't know what everybody else thinks, if you're going to come across authentically, like, I'm in my office, you're in your office, we can't be together. We're doing this for efficiency. I'm not a Hollywood producer. However, I am changing my office around so it looks a little better in the background, just to get kind of like, that's why I say like the table stakes again. Decent microphone, decent camera, decent setup, very simple, not over the top, not professional, but designed not to look professional, right? I'm not a professional. This is not going to look professional, but it's going to look clean. It's going to look professional as done by an amateur. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm shooting for. The technology behind it, I'm going to have to do a little bit, but I'm talking like a couple $100 worth of stuff.
Yeah, David has, if you haven't seen it yet, in David's COVID, the new modules he just presented, the 5th one is tech. And at the end of that, he goes through the microphone, the camera, and
that's it then. I haven't gotten that far yet.
So yeah, so there's just, for that part of it, I would just go to that, and as you know, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just do what he says, and it's not.
That's what I was looking for. I haven't gotten that far yet, so that's good. Thank you. That answers my question.
Awesome. Good. And then I would just say for, oh shoot, you had another question about, oh, I can't remember. If I missed a piece of your question, let me know. I thought there was another piece there.
No, I think we're good. I think I got what I need from that. Yep. Thank you.
Good. And yeah, Deborah, repurposing is the word I was looking for. When you're at not highest, but video, you can easily repurpose. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you. Okay. MailChimp. So, Michael, I'll let you take this question unless it's more about strategy, right? Email strategy, Deborah. Why don't you just ask the question, and then Michael and I can answer together.
I don't want this to get off into a how-tos.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking for is help with cleaning up what I have. So I have MailChimp. I have an account, and I have a virtual assistant who helped me to set it up. But I think the problem is my VA is totally an order taker. And without a strategy, you can have the best tech in the world and still have a mess. And that's what I have. And so I need help cleaning it up and then getting it set up as simple as possible so that I can manage it and consistently reach my audience going forward. And I'm just not sure where to begin or what type of resource to look for, but I don't want another order taker. I can press buttons too. I don't need that. I need somebody who can think and help me think through it. So that's my problem.
Okay.
And I guess my question is, how do I begin and what do I look for to help me?
So this is more of a hiring question, or are you asking us about the email strategy?
Well, if there's a strategy that I could think through, to get past this, because my goal is I want to clean it up. I'm doing a launch next week for my new brand and my new product suite, and I just want this. I want my mail system to be set up because it's been there and just not really being used because I don't know how, and I can't just. I don't know what to tell my VA to do. So I think I need, you know, even if it was just a blank slate, where to begin, I guess, is kind of where I'm at. I don't even know how to ask the question.
Well, okay, so I'll answer the first part, and then
Okay.
maybe Michael, you can answer the hiring part if that's helpful.
Okay.
So
Sure. Yep.
okay. So when you think about this goes for all of you. You think about your CRM, you think about any sort of way you're managing data, even the you know, the spreadsheet that we made for you guys, the MMA spreadsheet. You want to think about what what the end use is. So Deborah, get rid of MailChimp from your head or what you already have. Just think about it as data, right? And how you want to be able to use the data and retrieve the data. So one way, and if I'm totally missing your question here, then interrupt me, but you want to think about the end, right? So there's going to be a scenario where you could email your whole list, and that sounds like basically what you've got now. You've got like, okay, I got to email them all or none of them because we don't know what's going on. So with email, it can be helpful to know. So I don't know the capabilities of MailChimp. It's one of the least robust of the tools, but it should still be able to segment, like, these people came from this thing. These people came from this other thing. These people came from this other thing. And sometimes two of those groups, let's say, are who you want to email. Sometimes it's all of them. Sometimes it's one of them. You'll also be able to sort with any system. I believe MailChimp does this. Have they opened the emails, right? So sometimes you want to email engaged people or disengaged people. Hey, haven't heard from you in 6 months. I'm gonna unsubscribe you unless you reply, and then bam, off the list. So is there any other data you would want to get from your email, Deborah?
My main goal is I want to make this announcement to everybody on my mailing list, and then in the end find out who's interested in continuing, knowing that some people might unsubscribe, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then my plan is to do the main announcement, and then I have a 12 message drip strategy that Sarah was helping me with. So I'm working on the messaging for that. Like a week after the main announcement goes, and just like stay in touch every 3 weeks.
Yes.
And from there, I'll be able to know like who's really interested in keeping up with me and who's not, and know who my real audience is.
Good. Yes. So again, not sure if MailChimp does this. I think ConvertKit might be one of the cheaper ones that does really good segmenting, but there are like tons that do this.
Yeah.
Where you can, so you can send out an email, and MailChimp's been upping their game over the past few years from when I used it. So one thing you can do is send out an email and say something like, click this link if you want to stay on the list, right? Or like, go visit this awesome new, like, hey, here's my new website, click this link to visit it. And then, anyone who clicks that link, like, you would continue to email them. So you can, again, we're trying to gather data. If you think of it just like data, what action does someone need to take? And then you're going to tag that action or segment that action, and then it goes in its own bucket. So that's a really good idea. Sending it out to everyone, saying, some of you I know aren't interested, you can unsubscribe below. Here are a couple of options. So I've seen some emails go out, for example, that say, I want to hear from you once a month, click this button. I want to hear from you every single day because I love you so much, like, click this button. I only want to hear from you when something absolutely super, super important happens. 2 to 3 times a year brackets, click this button. You can, and then there'll be lots of people who don't click any button and who don't respond and whatever, right?
Mhm. Okay.
So you can get creative. It sounds like you're already getting a little bit creative.
Yeah, and I think that, so the main thing for me was really understanding the concepts around it. Marketing is not my core competency,
Mhm.
obviously, and that's why I'm here. Once I understand the concepts, then I can know how to direct somebody to help me. But I think that just the way that you explained it, start beginning with the end in mind and thinking about it as data gathering, that actually resonates for me more than it's the email marketing list and it's list building.
No,
Now
I knew that would resonate with you
behind
better.
it, yeah, so that concept actually is a really good framework to help me think through it.
Good.
So yeah.
Picture it like a spreadsheet, right? Like, how would you want to be able, if it was a spreadsheet, how would you want to be able to sort the data?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that helps. All
I've
right.
seen your MMA spreadsheet. I know that's your happy place. All
Yeah,
right.
well, I think in databases actually. So, and I
Sure.
had not been thinking about this that way because it's just such a foreign concept to me. I mean, Sarah had to explain to me what a campaign is. So, like that.
Yeah, but all a CRM is a database.
Yeah.
So cool.
All right. Thanks.
Do you still want some help with the hiring piece of it?
I think what I'm going to do is, so I have a VA team, a virtual VA team, and my main contact is, she's more order taker. She can manage projects for me, but I think I'm going to seek out a more strategic person within that team. So I'm just going to go to the owner of the company and see who they might recommend to help me with this. And I saw your comment, Matt. Yeah, that was helpful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, my other question in there was about community building, but we can skip it and go to something else if you need to.
No, did we have, why don't we answer Cappi's question and then we'll come back to your community building question.
So Cappi, I would like to talk about proposals and the best way to deliver them, discuss them, offer them.
Yeah, so basically, in the past when I'm working with a company and I have a project or something I'm going to do with them, it seems like I'm either in there and we start talking about it and, it's more of a verbal, or it's somebody I know. And Michael, because you've been helping me, but I'm putting together this pretty big proposal for ongoing coaching for probably the next few years internally with a company, and I'm making a bunch of training programs for them and products, and I'm already joining in on their Zoom calls. So the proposals, I told them I would deliver it on Friday, but Michael, I wanted your input tomorrow morning. We have a call. So I just have questions on, do you just email something over and then get on a call with them and go over those specifics? Do you just, I'm just not, it's a pretty big deal. So I just want to make sure that I'm walking through it with them, or I'm just want your input and feedback on it.
I think the best way, kind of summarizing things we've mentioned before, when you're having the conversation with this is for Cappi now and for everybody, let's say you do an air conversation, and from that they say, wow, I'm interested in talking more. And as we've heard Stephanie say, you say, great, let's set up a consultation to discuss my services or my speaking. So you set up that meeting, you have the verbal discussion. If they, at the end of that meeting, this is key, you set up your next appointment if they don't hire you on the spot, or if it's too big and they need to bring in a board and they want to see a proposal, absolutely set up the meeting, the next meeting. If they want the proposal and request one, and or you want to send one because it's comprehensive, you make sure that the the proposal supports what you went over verbally. So like David says, they shouldn't be getting things in the proposal that are surprise because
Right.
you already shared these things with them verbally. So then you already have your meeting set up. So that would send the proposal a day or two, maybe 3, but it doesn't need to be that far in advance, prior to the meeting. And, you know, here's the proposal. To the extent you have time to fully read and digest this, super. If not, what I envision is our meeting to be about reviewing the proposal.
Okay.
And that's how it works. And then, you know, certainly ask them, are there any other facets that we should put on the agenda for the meeting other than the review of the proposal? And then you use the meeting to walk them through it, and kind of general steps, allow them to ask detailed questions if they have them, but you kind of go at the pace they want or the level of depth they want. Does that help give you an outline, Cappi?
Yeah, because I didn't want to just send them something and then it is everything we've discussed. We've talked extensively over what it will include, and they're very clear on that. We've talked budget, but I'm still having to come up with those numbers, even though they haven't given me real solid numbers. But I know they've got money. I think the thing I learned really from this program that really helped me is how one of the videos David talks about talk money. And so I kept talking money to them. You know, how much have you spent trying to solve this till now? They're a new company, and they were real vague, and I just kept digging. You know, what did you pay this person? They hired some marketing company, and I did get out of them that in the last probably 8 or 9 months, they spent over 150 grand, and they were very disappointed in the outcome that they gave that person 150 grand, and it didn't evolve, and they weren't, you know, so they're not happy with what the outcome. So I have not only in the proposal, you know, the training and the product and the whole program that I'm going to create 2 training programs in-house for them, but then the facilitating of it every month. So I've got one fee for the creation of, and I don't even know if I'm like underestimating or overestimating. So Michael, we can talk about that tomorrow. But my big thing is, you know, ongoingly, it's a big deal, and there's a lot involved on my time and my part, but they're basically like, you know, Cappi, we want you to be our guru. So I just want to make sure I position it properly. And I was on a Zoom call with them yesterday with their whole team, and they haven't even hired me yet. And they were saying, so, well, you know, we're going to figure it out. We're hiring Cappi. So, I mean, in their minds, it's a done deal, but I'm giving that to them tomorrow. So I just want to make sure that I'm not just emailing something and then saying, oh yeah, okay. You know, like, I just want to be clear on the steps of getting the green light, positioning myself properly, reviewing it and all that. So that's helpful. Thank you.
Great. How exciting.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
So that did it. That's what you were looking for. That does suffice.
Yeah, because I told him I'd have it for him on Friday. But I didn't set up a meeting. So she asked me yesterday, she's like, we're really excited. You know, we want to get it. And I said, well, we need to review it together. So I will email her today and set up a meeting to review it before I send it over.
Perfect.
Thank you.
If you need more info about proposals, if you look in the Facebook group and type in proposal, for all of you, we've had lots of threads in there about good proposals. So
awesome. I'll look at that today. Thank you so much.
All right, Deborah, what's your question about community building?
So this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and I think it builds on the conversation you were having with Matt about content types, and the work that I was doing and speaking, a lot of it was around community building, but it was in live venues. So when I am in front of an audience, I'm actually engaging the audience, and that's what makes the experience really different. I facilitate a conversation. And I just did that last week for a live industry live stream event, and it went really well. And so I've been thinking a lot about what David is saying, that community is the new content, and whether I should really focus in on doing that. I've been running an experimental community for the past, I don't know, whenever this mess started. We're over 40 days into it now, but every Friday I've been doing a virtual Zoom coffee shop talk, and I invited about a dozen industry leaders to just say, hey, every Friday morning at 11 Central for 45 minutes, I'm going to have my Zoom open, and join me and come tell me something good, tell me a joke. Let's just get together and hang out. And it's turned into idea sharing and opportunities and interesting things. And so I'm thinking about, like, what does it take, and what should I be thinking about in terms of building a community? And I don't need technical advice. I've already selected the platform that I'm interested in using. I'm thinking more along the lines of strategy and how should I think about this? Because I think there's an opportunity right now to capture the desire that people have to come together and share ideas in an arena where they're not going to be sold to all the time.
So when you say community, it sounds like you're talking about like the face-to-face, whether it's virtual or in person. So you're talking about like we would maybe call this a community, like we're learning about each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you using any or wanting to use any sort of non-live, right? Was it asynchronous?
Yeah, asynchronous. I want to do asynchronous and live, so that we can have these events, but we can't always be together all the time because my market is business leaders who are running companies. They can't be at every live meeting, but they still want to be a part of an ongoing conversation and a safe group of peers, where we're exploring shared interest. So
okay, and so this would have like a gate to get in as well?
Oh yeah.
Or, okay.
It isn't everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not talking about like a social media community. You're talking about like they've come in and then
yeah, I'm looking at Mighty Networks. I'm not interested in Facebook. I actually hate Facebook and only go there because these awesome groups are there. And I want it to be private. You got to sign in, and I'm not going to let just anybody in.
Cool. Okay, and so at this point, the question is not how do you get people into the group? It's once they're in the group, keeping them engaged. And I don't know the platform Mighty Networks. I don't know what the capabilities of that one are. What have you found so far to be what's the question I want to ask? The reason that the people in your group want a community, what is their purpose? Like, what do they find really valuable?
So the vibe that I'm getting is, so when I go out and I talk about exponential technology in the future of your business and how we need to be thinking different to avoid disruption. Well, we're all disrupted now, but people still want to have this conversation. And so I think it's the feeling of being connected and not being alone, of even though you don't know all the answers and you can't, you've got a community of people that you can bounce ideas and questions off of.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not trying to sell you software.
Yeah.
And so it's you don't have to travel to have these conversations. It's kind of like a virtual executive roundtable. It's not a high fee mentoring program. This is separate from that. But I had an experience with Dory Clark. I went through her recognized expert program years ago, and the group there is so valuable, even more than the program and the things I learned from her, is the people that I'm connected with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that connection that I wanna facilitate.
Cool.
So I think it's the connection and the peer group and the safety, actually.
Yeah. So, okay, first thing I would ask Dory Clark what she does to make it so amazing,
Oh,
if you're still at all connected with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And then tell all of us, because I think that would be helpful. But no, but seriously, if you were in a group that you loved, then asking them what their philosophies and principles and boundaries and what they did, you know, even member feedback, like it maybe felt really good to you, but were they actually getting good feedback all around? Or it'd be interesting to know if she'd be interested in sharing. Second thing is that safety. It would be important to dissect what that means, right? So what do you need in order to feel safe as part of a community? For some groups like BNI, it's that no one else does the same thing as you. They feel safe because there's only one of every person. In other groups, they feel safe because everyone's the same, right? They're coming from a mutual understanding of industry or whatever. And it's making me think, have you heard of Brene Brown's Anatomy of Trust?
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about it all the time. I don't know if you guys have heard me
on.
talk about it. So if we just Google Brene Brown's Anatomy of Trust, it's in multiple of her books. I think it's possibly in Braving the Wilderness. It's also in her Dare to Lead book. She has online resources, but where I first saw it was an Oprah Soul Sunday video. So she just broke down Anatomy of Trust, and this will probably help you and all of you just in your personal lives, let alone your business lives. With the concept is, we use the word trust all the time. Like, I trust Michael, right? But why do I trust Michael? And when I no longer trust Michael, why is that, right? So what she's done is broken down trust into, I can't remember her acronym. But she's broken it down into different categories. So one of them, I think it's Braving is her acronym, something like that. So for example, V stands for the vault. So if I tell you something, I trust that you're going to keep it in the vault. And one of the ways to breach trust is, of course, if you told that thing. But another way to breach trust is if you are telling me things that you shouldn't be telling me. So how do I trust that you're not telling other people my things, even because you're telling me their things, right? So that's one of the pieces. So definitely look up the Anatomy of Trust, and it will really help you with this community concept. And maybe you bridge trust and safety. I feel like there are a lot of overlaps, but there might be some extra things that make someone feel safe that might not be in the trust segment, but that would be really cool. I hadn't actually considered that as far as community building goes, but that would be an amazing tool for that. And we should probably look into that for this program now that I'm thinking about it. The other thing is just going to be really good moderation, right? So you have to be really brave in the live elements where you are facilitating conversation, not letting things get out of hand in a bad way. Of course, sometimes there are really good tangents, and you are then protector of everyone. But then in the online space, really following that as well. And not so much that you're like the sledgehammer of like, no, you can't say that, delete, ban, whatever. It's just the teaching your group how to have better conversations is going to be a big part of that. So for example, if someone posts on Facebook or wherever, and their question gets no comments, right? Or just like, okay, but it probably wasn't a great question. Here's how you could have submitted the question so that people felt that they could answer you, or that they could really help you get, bye Michelle, that they could get a better answer. So if someone says like, I'm trying to think of an example, like, what should I do on the sales call? It's like, well, I don't know. Like how, I have no idea what happened on your sales call, the context, whatever. That's a terrible question for the group. But if you say, this thing happened, they said this number, I said this number, like, how would you respond to that? people are just a lot more able to contextualize. So teaching them how to engage in a community is also your job. People don't come to a community just knowing how to be a part of it. I mean, some do, but it's, yeah, that would be a good thing to think of.
Yeah, I've been taking notes while you're talking. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll look up the anatomy of trust, but it's really, really good. So sidebar, as you were talking about community, and this maybe doesn't apply to you, Deborah, but we have a secret community expert in our midst, Morgan, who has managed to have such an awesome Instagram that she got picked up by a publisher to like review books and stuff. And so I was hoping Morgan could share a couple tips too. Like I'm sure it'll be relevant to you, Deborah, internally, but also from a social perspective of keeping people engaged. Yeah, Morgan's got some awesome experience.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's like very different than the type of like, you know, accounts that anyone here would have, but I did start an account a few years ago on there, and it's kind of just like a book blog. So basically the things that I do to build the following is like post every day, post good content, obviously. So I try to post like good quality pictures, thoughtful captions. I use hashtags that are related to whatever I'm posting so that people who would want to see it will be like searching that. And also just like interacting with other people. So like commenting, I know it's like, I don't know if you guys would be using Instagram or not, but it's just how I know how to do the marketing on that. So yeah, interacting with people on there, and then they're more likely to engage on your posts because you're commenting on there, so you're showing interest, so they'll kind of look at your thing. So they like seeing like consistency, so they kind of start to recognize when it's your post based on the content, and they're expecting it if you're posting every day and they're getting value from it, and then people just start to notice that. And yeah, I don't know if that helps anyone.
So Morgan, what you do really great is you have a niche. Like there's a type of book, for example, that Morgan reads and reviews and talks about, and it matches her style of post, and it matches, obviously then her audience is really specific. And I like what you said about consistency, Morgan, and for you, it's like even consistency in the images. Like when you see an image, like, you know, it's Morgan's.
Definitely, yeah. I know that, yeah, that's probably a little different than here, but like, let's say you're posting, you want to post videos with like content that you're talking about. People do that too. I follow plenty of accounts that are more like coaching, consulting, have their own programs. People do online programs on there. And I follow all those accounts because I see them like every day posting that type of thing. And yeah, so if you're showing up on someone's feed every day and they like what you're posting, they're gonna look out for it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Morgan. I know we don't talk a lot about social media in the course, and it's definitely not required for this. The lessons that Morgan's talking about, like the consistency, that is so appropriate in any community, because you're the leader. You need to be there, right? You need to be commenting, you need to be replying, you need to be like the one who's showing up until the community takes on a life of its own, which it will at a certain point. Michelle, who just left, is an awesome example. She was so involved in the SPF Facebook group, especially when she first joined, that you know, that's when it kind of, and then you notice other people start commenting a lot more. Like literally when Michelle joined, we had a lot more engagement in the group total. So it's just kind of I hope that's helpful across the board. Any other questions today?
Looks like Sharon has a little visitor. Hello there. What a cutie. Wow.
That's my granddaughter. So,
What's your name?
Leilani.
Beautiful.
She saw a scary movie. So
Cute.
what's her name?
Leilani Comics.
Leilani.
Love it.
Leilani Comics.
Oh,
So let's get to MMA here. And if you guys have any questions about MMA, I also wanted to post on Seth Godin's blog this morning. This just might be something interesting. Crisp.ai, KRISP.ai. I've not used it. I just have it open in my tab, but it's like a noise canceling app for virtual conversations. So if you have background noise, it'll apparently cancel all the background noise you have. And also you can use it to cancel other people's background noise, I think, for you. So like you can concentrate better. So cool app. I've not used it. I trust Seth Godin though. So if he says it's good, I believe him. But crisp.ai sounds kind of cool. Thought it might be relevant for you guys. So how are you doing with MMA these days? Money-making activities, what have those been looking like? Have they transformed? Are they continuing? Anything we can help you with there?
I'd like to share. Oh, sorry, Matt.
Sure, yeah, Cappi, then we'll go to Matt.
Go, Cappi.
Sorry, I don't have my camera on because my hair is like all funky and I don't have my makeup on. But you know, one of the things I'm leveraging, I guess you can say, is I've been like all of us, I think we're all doing so many Zoom calls, and I was doing one the other day, and instead of you know, looking through my contacts and my emails, which I think we all do, right? We go to what, you know, the money making activities or whatever. But on the Zoom call, what I did is I said, for those of you, because I didn't know a lot of people on it, I said, you know, for those of you that are interested in leveraging, you know, this same topic for your audiences, please stick your info in the chat. And man, that thing blew up. So I start, you know, oh, call me here. Da, 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 da. So I think I got 5 leads out of asking on my Zoom to present or to share or, you know, whatever, talk at their thing. And then one of the ladies that I ended up calling, she just stuck her phone number in there. I called her and she's going to have me speak for the Association of Realtors, which I've done, but not in that county yet. I haven't been able to break into that county yet. And then she said, well, I run 2 other groups with blah, blah, blah. Hold on, let me 3-way you in with this guy. It was so good. Your stuff was amazing. Let me introduce you. So she literally 3-wayed me in a call with this dude. And I got to chat with him for 5 or 10 minutes. She did a quick intro and then I followed up with him as well. So when you're on these Zoom calls and on these things, just, I would say, leverage that audience and ask. So that's been really my biggest win, is just asking people while I'm in the mix, versus without Zoom, it was more like getting a referral, right? And then following up or sending that 3-way email and, oh, this is Cappi. And I'm loving this life, I have to tell you. As far as, I just feel like the opportunities are so much bigger right now, but if we're not asking and we're not leveraging those new faces on that Zoom and saying, hey, by the way, you know, I'd love to attend one of your Zooms and I'd love to, you know, help your audience grow or whatever. It's been really, really good. I'm doing another one. I have so many meetings, it's ridiculous, but now I'm learning, like, oh, get on those Zooms. Once they introduce me to their audience, think of all the people those people know. So it's really helped me a lot. So that's kind of what I've been doing, is following those leads versus doing my normal, you know, lead generation.
Cool. Can you answer Deborah's question? Are you doing your own webinars or are they for other audiences that are like bringing you on?
I typically have other audiences bring me on. I've done so much speaking and I find that it's easier to have somebody else build my audience and then have me show up. So you can do both really, but it's basically, I reached out, started making phone calls to some of the contacts I had when this started happening. And I think I told you guys I started doing a survey and said that was kind of my excuse to call them. I said, hey, you know, I want to do a survey to see how your people are feeling, what they're going through, because I'm a master of NLP and hypnotherapy. So I make products for companies and I go in and speak on mindset for sales and for that type of thing. So it's really, you know, I wanted to know how people were feeling, how I could help. So then I had a bunch of people calling me back, which, you know, again, when people are busy and they don't have time to call back, you end up calling them, you know, 7 times or writing emails or whatever before you get a return phone call. So I'm finding the response time is much faster. So Deborah, that's how I started it. I just started calling, connecting, asking them how I could help, what they were doing. Then I was like, how about we do a Zoom? And then, you know, you send out an email to your database, your audience, and I'll come on for free. And I will, you know, talk about their mindset and how important it is right now to, and so I teach really about the subconscious. It's pretty cool. And then I talk, you know, well, the nice thing about it is I'm now open to 40 of their people. And then when I was talking at the end, I didn't really have a strategy for it. I just started saying, you know, oh, for those of you that enjoyed this content, go ahead, and I opened up the chat, you know, if you want to put, and it just started blowing up. So it wasn't anything I thought of prior. I kind of did it in the moment, and now I've done it on every single Zoom, and I'm getting a lot of really good leads.
Cool. Well, and that's the premise of this course, right? It's so much work to build your own, like to fill your own room, essentially. We still want you building an email list and stuff, but it's much easier to speak for other people's audiences than your own.
I used to try to build all my own stuff, and not that you can't, but especially with the live event model, oh my gosh, putting butts in seats was challenging.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I got smart over the years and thought, you know, I just need to let them do that. And, you know, when you think about how many people have large databases, right, corporations. So one of the negotiation tools I use sometimes even in my price point is I'll say, hey, if you will send an email out on my behalf, or if they're filling a room just through new people, I'll ask for a copy of that list and put that in my negotiation for price and fee and all that. So there's ways to do it. But then again, if you're trying to stick that in your CRM, a lot of times those people, you know, you got to get permission and all that. So yeah, there's different strategies behind everything, but I'm digging this Zoom thing for leads.
Cool. Matt, what were you going to share?
I was just going to say MMA. I think MMA is going really, really well. Good. My problem is I don't have all my stuff and all my ducks in a row. So people are like, send me your stuff. And we're getting close to finishing it. Hopefully this week we'll have the stuff back so I can just send stuff to people. But that's where I'm at. So every time I've touched it, it's been like, yeah, send me your stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. So I've kind of backed it down a little bit, but I'm ready to roll.
Good. Good. So you have a plan in place to get that stuff done, you said?
Yeah, I have all kinds of lists of things to go after here, but every time I've picked up the phone, I've gotten a good response, and now I'm not able to capitalize on it, right? So I'm out over my skis a little bit, but days.
Good.
Within days,
good.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome work, Matt. Deborah, then Eric.
So my numbers are down considerably from before, but like Matt said, I am working on getting all my ducks in a row right now. So that I can ramp that back up again. So I had to kind of step back and focus intensely just to get stuff done. Also, one of the things I was realizing is that some of the MMA activity that I was doing was sort of desperation and pursuing things that were more distracting than actually my core. And so I think what I need to really make sure I'm focused on that, because it was just a flurry of activity and so much disappointment. And, you know, with my core business being so disrupted and delayed, it was just felt like I was knocking my head against, you know, a wall continually and expecting to get different results. So I'm just backing off and refocusing on where things are going. So I'm expecting my numbers to come back up again once I get through this focus.
Well, and for you, it sounds a lot like focusing on quality. Like you're asking great questions about how do I make this community amazing?
Yeah.
That is key. Focusing on really delivering amazing stuff is going to very much help the
Yeah.
numbers. Mm-hmm.
My personal brand is innovation plus prestige. I work
Mm-hmm.
in the finance industry and I won't have my name tied to anything that is not excellent. So yeah, and it's not about perfection. That's different. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you nailed it.
Yeah, I don't get perfectionist from you, truthfully. I really get like striving for excellence in and innovation, like you said. Like how can I do this better, different, easier, all of those
Yeah.
things. It's awesome. Eric, what were you going to share?
Just as that on the, as you know, I have two parts to my company. On the ITML Institute side, I had a class called Managing Virtual People. So that sort of has gone a little wild, which has been good. Mostly, it had to be modified from mostly it was time zones and countries and things. But I've been pretty heavily giving webinars, some free, some paid, on managing a virtual team and working on a virtual team. Actually, by doing one of them for free, I actually picked up for a client I'd been working with for a long time, a training company. They asked me to develop a class for them on it. And then I'll be the primary deliverer, I guess that's the word, of that. So on that side, that's going pretty well. So the downside of that is it's kept me from from working more on the office influence side, which I've still been moving forward. But there, I have a lot of things lined up to do a lot of MMA stuff. The first of which, they were all predicated on me finishing up my the update to my website, which finished yesterday. Which includes, just lots of new language, also a free assessment people can take on their willingness to be influenced by others in the workplace as an email collector. So I've done a lot of those kind of things. I've hired a VA connected with, or reconnected, I should say, with the social media company, basically Twitter and LinkedIn kind of stuff that I worked with previously. I wanted to give it a rest, and I'm like 110% going toward the influence piece. So, so far so good. But with the next month or so, I think from the MMA perspective will be interesting because I had a lot of stuff I had to line up first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you've laid the track, I guess. Now you're going. Cool. I don't know. You don't need tracks for an airplane. I don't know what that metaphor was, but
I get it.
Cool. Well, it was wonderful to talk to all of you today. One last thing that actually Michael left, he doesn't even know this yet. We have David is going to be on Tuesday's call. So hopefully you guys can all make it and you'll get to talk to him for the first like 20 minutes or so. And he especially is going to share, we have another group, the Platinum group, and he wants to share some like new lessons, I suppose, that he's hearing from people who are doing awesome stuff, and share some lessons that maybe aren't in the course. So looking forward to having him come on Tuesday. And in the meantime, you guys all know where to find us if you need anything. And I would encourage you to submit questions ahead. So the link is spfquestion.com. So submit your questions, and Michael and I can have a look at them ahead of time to help you out. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.